Hello, this is Omni Aldasuki, and today I'm speaking with Mahesh Shahdadpuri, the founder and CEO of TASC Outsourcing, and we are going to be talking to him about his journey as an entrepreneur. Welcome, and it's great to have you here finally.
Thank you, Omnia. I did not realize I was running away from you. No, I don't know if I am so difficult to get a hold of. Sorry, I travel a lot, so I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about your experience in entrepreneurship. How did you start that? How did you get the idea of TASC Outsourcing?
Well, let me answer this in two parts. One is it's still a mystery to me. How did I end up as an entrepreneur? I think it's sometimes it could be need-based, but sometimes I believe for me it was a kind of a deep desire to do something by myself. So I used to be in college. I was, I think, 18 or 19 years old in Manipal in India. It's an engineering college. And I remember in those days, I thought, what can I do? What can I do? And I started selling airline tickets, but because there was just one travel agency in the small town, and the big airline agency was a little bit far away in a bigger town. So I used to buy from there, and I used to sell at a small margin to the extent that my ticket back to Dubai used to be free. Also, yesterday, I met somebody very senior from a very big company internationally in Abu Dhabi. And it was a similar sort of question. And I don't know what came up. You know, we are from a small community in India called, we're Sindhis. There are lots of Sindhis in Dubai, and a lot of them are business people. So two things about Sindhis. As we grew up as a community, it's a very small community in the world, relatively. You will not find a poor Sindhi in the world. And the reason is we were driven out of, it was undivided India. So it was, Pakistan, and we had to migrate in 1947. So as a community, we were forced to fend for ourselves. And as we grew in the families, it was, son, lead your life with honesty, openness, authenticity, but make sure you're achieving your things. And don't give an excuse, generally. So that spirit to achieve, to persevere, to win was always there. And it was there in my father. So my father, after many years in a government service, started his own business. And I, like maybe a crazy son, did not follow him in his business footsteps in his business and ventured out into my own group of companies. So that is the reason why entrepreneurship. And I'm sorry for the long answer. You can edit it. Why TASC? That's a more complicated question. I started my first business in New York and Bangalore at the same time. I was crazy. And I studied in Boston. I used to work for a company that was bought over by Intel. So I'll say Intel for this purpose. I used to work in a chip manufacturing setup. I love technology. And I started a technology services company in New York, a very small single room office, and a slightly bigger office in India with about 25, 30 people. And that went bust. That was one of the hardest experiences of my life. There is a fine line between bravado and foolishness. There's a fine line between, you push yourself so hard, and are you really, are you foolish? I think I was foolish. I pushed myself really hard, and I wanted to do something too big, too fast. So when I failed there and I lost all my money, I lost a lot of family money, and God bless my family for supporting me. And I was struggling for 8-9 years in UAE. I had a new daughter. I have two daughters. The first one was born, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I worked here and there, and I worked with my dad. And I said, suddenly, after 8-9 years of really struggling, I said, I have got to do something. And the only thing I knew was software services, was something to do with human capital. And in those days, Dubai was a smaller city. So outsourcing some services like business processing services or outsourcing people solutions or outsourcing consultants was I knew that was some part of it. And I said, you know what? Let's just start with this. Let's start with some recruitment. Let's just start with some people outsourcing. And it was very small. And today we employ 7,000 consultants in the region. We're probably the largest. And these are consultants. These are mid to senior level office professional workers, and in about 23 countries. So we do all right. That's how, pay the bills, essentially. I knew I had daughters. I knew I had to pay the bills.
You know what? It's good that you brought in that answer of that you have daughters and pay the bills. But is that what motivates you? Is that what motivated you after failure to continue?
No. I mean, in fact, it made me very clear. So raising a family is critical. You have to bring the bread home. I did not doubt myself ever that I would be able to bring a certain amount of money home. I mean, say if I prayed to God, give me 20,000 dirhams a month. I mean, I can send my daughter to a decent school and keep my wife reasonably happy, and she's a wonderful woman. But what really motivated me is okay, I've had some tough experiences. I've always been a good student. I've had tough experiences. I've had some good education. I have a good family background. How can I make a difference? And really, I'm a very impact-driven person. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a saint. I'm a businessman and I make money, but I am also all about impact. So how do I make something? How do I leave a dent in this world? How do I make a small difference? So our purpose actually in the company is creating opportunities, impacting lives. Imagine hiring thousands of people across countries, impacting their lives and their careers. And these 7,000 people probably support another 25, 30,000 through their families. So I love that. I love what I've been able to accomplish along with my team and my people who support me in the family and friends. So yeah, that's driver. Now, if you do the work well, if you do it smart, and if you give quality, money is an after effect. You will make that. So that's what really drove me.
What about your experience as an employee? How was that different in comparison to you as an entrepreneur?
So I was an employee in only two places. One was in Intel. I had first time I had a woman boss. I mean, I was just fresh out of business school. I did a master's in business. I was 25. I think the one experience that it left me was, a boss is your everything. You're lucky if you have a good boss, and you work hard for getting a small recognition from your boss, and you trust the boss. And if it's a good boss, they would encourage you. They would appreciate you. They would recognize you, and they would help you in your growth, learning-wise, promotion-wise, financially, socially, intellectually. Let's just say like that. My other boss was my father. In both cases, I realized how much they can play a role in your life and how good or how bad at times, right? So what I have taken, mostly good from my father and my boss. I don't think I had any bad experiences. But one learns, if this is the way this happened, then from, say, my boss's mistake, how do I learn? And how do I learn the good things as well from my bosses? So I mean, research will tell you that people leave bosses, not companies, and it's totally true. So I think I give a lot of tough love. I'm a tough boss, but I could be in a garage and people would never leave me. Because when you genuinely connect at a certain level, people will actually go to war for you.
In the brief, I read something very interesting. You actually enjoy yoga and trekking, but somehow you travel a lot. How do you do that? How do you maintain mindfulness?
That's a good question. So yoga, I have to do 20 minutes every day. The reason is I'm getting up there in my age. I'm not very old, but yoga really gets the body going in the morning, and it sort of ignites the mind in some way. The trekking and the hiking I love because we work in concrete jungles. We work in offices. We are all knowledge. Many of us are knowledge workers, or we work in factories. Either ways, we have to get out there. And I think to look at the green and see the green, it gives me a lot of peace, and it gives me time to self-reflect. I'm a big self-reflector. I introspect and I think the goods and bads I do, or how I can get better. Regarding mindfulness, you know, after some tough experiences in my life, I said, I really don't know. And I'll ask you, Omnia, do you know if you'll wake up tomorrow?
No, I don't.
And nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
So how do you achieve everything today, if that makes sense? Like, how do you appreciate? So how do you get ambitious? And how do you want? How should you really have the passion drive you in such a way that you extract the juice from life? And that's how I lead my life. And part of that is whatever good and bad happens, can you experience it now? Can you experience it, right? If you have pains, they are growing pains. They are better pains to have today. If you have bad pains, hopefully you'll have good pains later. So mindfulness comes out of a sense of meditation. I meditate every day. Sometimes it could be 5 minutes, and sometimes it could be 30 minutes if I have a problem. So that's how I get to it.
How do you manage life stress? I was reflecting recently about my own life, and I was like, there seems to be a lot of challenges. This is something we don't imagine when we're young kids, right? As we grew older, there were so many challenges. Yes, you practice mindfulness, but how do you look at falls and gains with a neutral attitude towards life, that this is just life, you know? Some days are happy, other days are not.
Well, look, the goal for me is to be in a Zen situation when there's a storm coming. I think that rarely happens, or it may never happen. I used to get quite worked up with the losses or with problems, and I went through an anxious period for many years. But I think what has been giving me tremendous peace nowadays is to let go, just to let go. Let go of your anxieties, let go of people who are not nice to you, let go of arrogance, let go of things that don't go your way. And I think it's easier said than done. I mean, I'm not just saying you just completely let go, and I'm not trying to say that the train will, if you let go of everything, the train will get away from you, and God knows where it heads. But I think a certain balance is really important. And in some ways, spirituality is very important. I'm not saying religion, but spirituality, to believe that, if things happen in a certain way, they'll work themselves out. But that doesn't mean you don't take action. You do take action. But letting go gives you a certain sense of calm and peace. And you have to do certain things. I don't know how many people will listen to this, but one has to write your journal. One has to talk to people, have good company around them. I have a coach that helps. So if you do certain things, it does bring, a meditation is very critical. It does bring a sense of calm and peace. And if the world was doing it, we wouldn't have the problems in all around us that we do.
Interesting that you said you have a coach. I don't think a lot of business people I know do have coaches, but I don't think a lot of aspiring business people have coaches. Perhaps there is a reason behind it. But then what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who want to cultivate creativity or find or innovate in new ventures or find their own route?
Well, I think Gandhi said, if you want to change the world, then you need to change yourself. So I think it's important to build good qualities within yourself. My advice would be, and sometimes people ask me, what is my secret sauce, right? Other than perseverance and grit, which I think I possess a lot of, is just a simple sense of curiosity and humility. So my thing to entrepreneurs would be, are you curious to learn from your mistakes? And Thank you. Are you curious to learn from your mistakes? Are you open to learning? Um, change yourself in many ways. Leave the arrogance at the door. You will experience a lot of failures. Are you willing to learn from them? And one thing I would tell entrepreneurs, there is a secret sauce, and that is passion. Keep your passion alive. And if you're failing, you're actually moving ahead. It's sometimes like a tunnel which is dark. You are moving ahead, and maybe the light is just around the corner.
Right.
So, yeah.
I was going to say that is a similar advice for organizations who are building new products and venturing in new ideas and are impatient towards these ideas and how fast can they move, right? Isn't that the same advice that these organizations should take?
I think organizations, it's more complex because now you're dealing with a web of people and personalities and human dynamics and egos and all kinds of stuff. But yes, at the essence of it, successful organizations know how to cannibalize themselves, how to break themselves and make themselves again. So if you look at good companies like Amazon, they build a great tech infrastructure, they open it to the world. They build a great logistics infrastructure and they open it to third parties. So it's constantly saying, okay, I'm going to eat up what I built, but if I don't, then somebody else will.
I want to end our interview with just one final question. What do you think is the most important experience within your career that has shaped who you are today in comparison to how you were when you were younger?
That's a hard one. Look, there are always personal and professional experiences that shape oneself. For entrepreneurs, the personal and professional, the lines get fuzzy. So for me, it was the loss of my first company. I built it with a lot of hope. I'm a guy who generally almost never breaks a promise. I had made commitments and some promises. I would do this for you for the first few employees. And when that all went, when it was all over, it is very humbling. I'm an ambitious guy, and before that, wherever I was in school, I did very well. Business school, college, whatever. And it was very humbling. That's almost life-changing to realize that, it's difficult out there, and one can't give up, and there's so much to learn, and one has to listen a bit more, plan a bit more, and that can be life-changing, especially if you have a new family, you have a new daughter, you're probably recently married. I got married, and then in 2 years, my business went, it was over. So it teaches you a lot about failure, about resilience, about picking yourself up, about loss, and about believing in yourself.
Thank you for your time, but there's one final thing about believing in yourself. And I often ask myself that. So I would like to ask you, you are literally 1 in a billion where you come from. And how do you find the strength to believe in yourself? How do you look at yourself and say, yes, there are 1.5, almost 1.5 Indians walking on Earth. There are around 8 billion people on Earth, but I believe in myself. How do you believe in yourself? Or what makes you believe in yourself?
Look, like they say, courage is not the absence of fear, right? It's to recognize the fear and how you deal with it. I think belief is something like that. Belief is to understand your strengths and your fallibilities, and then say, it's okay, you're the most precious thing for yourself. And you must believe in yourself, good or bad. You are who you are, accept who you are, and move on, one step at a time.
Right. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure speaking with you, and hopefully I look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon.
Yes, thank you for picking me out. Thank you. Appreciate this.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Bye.